Welcome to the Trauma Llama Club. Today I'm going to be sharing my story about getting a service dog for PTSD. It's been an incredible journey, and I hope that by sharing my experience that maybe it offers another option for other people who are considering this path.
So join us. Your TLC adventure starts now.
So let's start from the beginning. After dealing with PTSD for several years, I knew about service dogs, but I didn't know that you could use a service dog for PTSD. And then when I was at my most reclusive state, I was introduced to my friend's service dog. He also had PTSD. And I began to see the impact that his service dog had on him. I noticed that when I visited him with his service dog, that it made me calmer and happier. And I began to see that this might be a good path for me. I was fortunate because I was already introduced to a trustworthy charitable organization that provided service dogs for PTSD to both first responders and the military. So I had the avenue to follow up. The first step was doing my research, but it wasn't just a decision that affected me, it affected both of us. So there was a lot to consider. We already had another dog, and we had discussed not getting another dog because we were so close to retirement.
Yep.
And that is something that Chris had asked me for. I had already made that commitment to him. So it wasn't just a decision that I could make arbitrarily.
Yeah, the dog we have he's an older dog. He's grumpy just like I am. So to bring another dog in at a puppy stage when we're close to the end, it just was like, you know what, let's just go to the mountains. Let's just go to the beach. Let's just go traveling without having that extra responsibility to keep another living organism alive. But after seeing our friend's dog and you actually interacting with it, you can see the benefits of what this might bring.
It wasn't an easy decision because I knew what we had already discussed, and that made a lot of sense. So to bring a new dog in, especially when I was in my most reclusive state. So to say, oh, I'm going to walk him every day and have the energy to take care of him in the way that he deserves, I had to think long and hard about that. When you have PTSD and the simple act of existing and doing daily tasks is exhausting, how can you commit to taking on the responsibility for another being? I didn't want to bring the dog into our household and not be able to care for him or have it be a burden on other people in our family. But after we discussed it, we came to the conclusion that it was worth a shot. Once we made that decision, what that entailed was bringing my psychologist in, filling out the application, and having my psychologist be involved with filling out that application as well, because you need a recommendation from a psychologist that this is something that would benefit you and not cause you more harm, and also that you're in a state where you wouldn't cause harm to the service dog. After submitting the application, it took a few months until I heard back, and during that time, I tried to prepare myself for the idea of getting a service dog while not getting so invested as to be disappointed if I wasn't accepted into the program. When I finally got the call that I was accepted, I was super excited. What that meant, the next steps were going in to meet some of the graduating class, working with the dogs independently, and seeing which ones I thought would be a good fit for me. From there, it was working with the organization's psychologist and having a conversation about the different dogs that I had met what worked well for me, what frustrated me, because I didn't want me to be paired with the service dog that aggravated my condition, and what my worst PTSD symptoms were that I needed the most help with, so that the organization could pair me with the dog who was best suited for me.
What was interesting to see was a lot of the dogs, they're all service dogs, but they're all different. They're built different, they have different personalities, and you can still see their personalities even when they're working. So the organization was really good in terms of trying to match the right one up. Whereas we thought dog A and dog B would be a great match, they ended up actually giving you C.
And what's funny is that there was one particular dog that I really connected with, and I was leaning towards, I would really like to work with this particular dog. And they didn't partner me with her. And the reason in hindsight was very on point. And that was, she was always ready to work and always ready to go. And they evaluated me and my PTSD symptoms. And they knew that that might actually turn into a trigger for me and activate me. So it really was a situation where, because they knew the dogs so well and their personalities so well, when they had my symptoms, they were really able to pair the best dog with me. It wasn't who I felt a connection with in the end. The first time I met Palmer was actually at a home visit when they brought him into our home to engage with our other dog, to engage with our family, to make sure that he would be a good fit for us and we would be a good fit for him. I was surprised that they chose Palmer because I actually had never worked with him. And when he came into our home, it was just an immediate fit. Yeah. And very much the better choice, because there were some dogs that I worked with that were very slow to react, which actually aggravated me. And then they knew from their experience with the symptoms that I presented that the dogs that were super eager wouldn't be a good fit. So he was kind of right in the middle. Mm-hmm. He was calm, but he responded quickly. He knows his job and he reacts right away. So the first time Palmer, the Trauma Llama, came for his home visit, he fit in right away. He was a good fit for our family. And I immediately knew that I wanted to work with him. After the home visit, I received a call and they told me that we were going to be matched together. And I was so excited. He came for a week-long visit and I was able to spend a lot of time together with him. And we really connected. It was interesting because in that visit, he actually performed a task of nightmare interruption. I was having a night terror and he woke me up from it. And from that point forward, I was sold. He was the one for me, because it became very clear how much he could help me. So we started our training. He was already trained, he was good to go, but I needed to be trained to learn how to work with him. So that involved learning different tasks, learning different skills, going to different environments, and seeing all the ways that he could help me, but also seeing how I could recognize what his cues were to me.
And also understand, though, during that training, that's exposure therapy to a lot of places you didn't want to go to, but they were necessary to show that you could do them with a dog.
Then we went to the public access test, and together we were able to show that we could pass the public access test. So we were officially matched at that point.
Yeah. What's interesting is I still was not quite sure on how the dog would work. I wasn't sure how it would fit into the family and how it would fit into being useful as more than just a well-trained pet. But that week-long trial, you were able to show that a lot of the duties that I would do naturally, the dog was now able to do some of those. Space creation, blocking, things like that. Whereas we'd be walking in a store and I know where I'd have to set myself up to protect from people coming in at a different angle. The dog was now doing that and I could just be beside you. I could just be with you.
Yeah.
Which was actually really huge. I didn't recognize it was going to be so impactful.
Well, you didn't recognize that you were really doing that.
No, I just did naturally.
Yeah, because I actually cited that as one of the reasons to my psychologist why I thought I would benefit from a service dog. Because as I was being hypervigilant when I was out in public, what I started to notice was Chris was taking on that hypervigilance in an effort to let me calm down. And I felt like I was infecting you with my complex PTSD because I was passing on symptoms to you. And I didn't want to impact you that way.
And it was exhausting.
It was exhausting.
You pot and kettle, I
well,
understand.
No. But even for him, today I had a counseling appointment and we were out in the community. And so he very clearly needs some rest. So through all of the training and all of the experiences that I gained and we gained, what I learned was all the things that a PTSD service dog can do for you. And it got to the point where we trust built so much that he started letting me know and indicating when I was going to have a panic attack, even before I became aware of it, which ironically in the beginning was a source of frustration for me because he would stand up and he would come over and put his chin on my knee, or he would come over and start like nudging me, and we would be in a public place or a restaurant and I would indicate for him to, I'm okay, just lay down. And he wouldn't listen to me. And he knew better. Shortly after, I would end up having a panic attack and my anxiety would raise really high. So over time, I learned to trust him implicitly. And when he says that I need to either leave the situation or end that conversational topic, or when he indicates, I listen because I've learned that he just knows. In the end, having a service dog has made a huge impact on my life. It's not always easy. There have been challenges. But in the end, for me, the positives way outweigh the negatives. If you're considering getting a service dog for PTSD, I hope my story gives you some insight into the process. It's a big commitment, but it can be incredibly rewarding.
If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more videos on managing your complex PTSD and working with a service dog.
And as always, indulge in the TLC you deserve, and we'll see you in the next video. So let's start from the beginning. I don't remember what the beginning is anymore. So let's start from the beginning. After dealing with PTSD, making me laugh.